My name is Charlene Hess-Biber. I am a professor of sociology and mixed methods research at Boston College. I will be hosting this webinar on mobile technologies that can be used in qualitatively driven research pursuits. This is an area in which I have years of expertise. Qualitative approaches privilege the lived experience of participants. It dives into their subjective experiences and tries to get at meaning. Today, I want to outline some mobile research applications that you can use as a student conducting your own independent research project. These applications can be used for data collection for part of your project. Today, I want to review applications that I think are ideal for field research, that is, going out into a naturalistic setting and observing interaction among individuals. It could be at your local Starbucks. It could also be at the gym, places that you hang out that you'd like to find out more about how folks interact in a public setting, for example. Or you might be interested in putting together a focus group, bringing together several students, for example, and getting your opinions on a particular topic such as college drinking or participation in extracurricular activities and so on. Or you may, in fact, decide that maybe you want to do an in-depth one-on-one interview with a student regarding their lived experience, say, in joining a sorority or a fraternity. This first app that I will cover in this webinar today is known as Evernote. This, I believe, is a really interesting all-purpose general application for collecting all different kinds of research data, from observations you make on the fly, say, in a field setting like Starbucks, or you want to jot down some quick happenings and ideas you have about that setting. So we're going to go over all of the favorite features that I like about Evernote, and we're going to show you how this mobile research application can in fact be extremely helpful to you if you decide to undertake, say, a field project, as I will show you later an example of the work that I did in my own fieldwork observations in a naturalistic setting. You can find this application in the App Store for your iPhone or in Google Play for Androids, and it's completely free of charge. You can probably also upload this app on your iPad. So let's begin by going over these features of Evernote by presenting some of the most basic features through a scenario that we've created for an example of how to use Evernote. The functions of this research application make it easy and convenient tool for field researchers to use in an observational settings where many people are interacting. The research scenario that we'll present has to do with a white researcher going into an African American community center. This field research wants to observe cultural differences and socioeconomic differences in familiar relations and social interactions in this community setting. So let's begin our scenario. We find ourselves in a community center in a city we'll call Cityville. It's maybe helpful to recall for me information and analyze the significance of the setting once I especially have reached my data analysis stage where I'm trying to put all the information I've collected together. I will take observational notes, what's going on in the setting, and throughout this video, using the notepad feature of Evernote would be a great way to do this. For example, Evernote, this research app, will allow me to jot down some of those sociocultural differences I'm observing on the fly. And as a person coming from a majority white community, I want to think about my own positionality in relation to observing across the range of differences I find in this setting. But come along with me and let's look in more detail at the functions of Evernote. Function 1, field notes in real time. This note-taking function of Evernote, the application, will allow the researcher to take these field notes, the things I'm jotting down on the fly about the setting, as I observe the surroundings. Not only are notes recorded in real time as they happen, as things happen, this geographic location that I'm in, is it simultaneously tagged automatically so that I know what part of the building I may be in at that time, or if I go outside, where I am outside. So it helps me to connect this kind of time-space dimension with my observations that I think will help me later on when I'm doing my analysis. Observational notes can later be organized into notebook folders in order for researchers to keep relevant material all together. I find this function particularly helpful when I reach the analysis stage of my research study. Function 2, work chat. Another Evernote function I have found helpful as an experienced researcher is the work chat. The work chat function allows student researchers to share their work with their academic or research supervisor, professor, or their peers. You can send your work and progress on your work via email or start your own group chat to contact necessary personnel. This is a great feature for doing peer reviewing of your work, to get feedback pretty quickly about how things are going, things that you hadn't thought about maybe that might strengthen your observational skills, and so on. For example, I find it helpful to send my undergraduate research assistants my notes in the field at the community center, or notes on focus groups that I may get a group of girls together to talk about a certain kind of issue they may be having with their peer group at the time, or field research in general, as well as updates on my progress. Evernote allows me to do this either through email or by creating my own group chat over which to converse and share my observations and other research materials. Evernote should be particularly useful to undergraduate students, for example, to send updates on their thesis work to their academic advisor and get feedback, hopefully pretty soon or on the fly as it happens. Function 3, organization. Some other useful Evernote functions are organization and reminders. Evernote allows researchers to stay organized and keep a tab on what research tasks lay ahead in their study. For example, the app allows you to set reminders for upcoming research tasks and also has a to-do list function where you can track your weekly progress. I often use reminders on my iPhone about upcoming interviews I have to ensure I do not miss any appointments. Even while on site at the community center, I am able to easily schedule a later interview appointment if a student there or someone in the setting wants to talk with me after I finish my observations. I won't forget to stop by and talk with them at that time. Having this function within the same app then is extremely useful to me. Function 4 is the audio recorder. This final Evernote feature that we're discussing is a great way to keep that audio open to you and available to you for anybody that happens to come up on the fly and wants to talk with you. You have that at your fingertips, ready to go, ready to record their particular segment within the project that they want to talk about, something on the fly, dealing with peer group interaction. You're able to do that right away. The audio function of this application allows you, more specifically, to record voice memos while in the field. If I find something, for example, that I feel is very important, that I really need to know, I can record that instance on the fly using the voice memo. This function can also be used to record interviews with participants in non-observation based research projects. Oftentimes I use the audio feature to record interviews or voice memos, again, of ideas I have for future research endeavors. Pictures also can be added to the voice memos, giving me a visual aspect to accompany the audio and adding more fuller, richer meaning of the setting. At the community center, I use the audio function to interview mothers and daughters, also about an event that's happening, to ask them about their relationships with each other. I also use the audio recorder to record the sounds of chatter and commotion at the event. I record music that is played, the tap dancing of the young girls as they are doing their stepping routines. I look at and listen to the music that they play in the cheers of the crowd after the children perform. And so I find that this gives a richer picture of the mother-daughter interactions and the kinds of goings-on that really fully appreciating the richness of the sound that the audio recorder provides me. Finally, in today's webinar, our last in a series of 3, I will be reviewing a mobile research application that allows student researchers to conduct their own online focus groups. Focus groups are different from one-on-one interviews in that they contain multiple participants that are interviewed together, with you, the researcher, acting as the moderator of the focus group. Focus groups can help you to figure out what are some key issues in a given area of research you're interested in, such as sustainability, environmental sustainability on your college campus, or global warmings, from a multiple set of perspectives all at once. So it gives you, the researcher, the depth and the breadth on a given subject in a pretty quick period of time. So it's very, as you can see in this regard, exploratory. Focus groups are also great when a researcher needs to gather information quickly on a specific topic. Say the researcher is a political scientist and they want to evaluate the outcomes of a given, say, presidential debate between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in the upcoming presidential race. They can quickly assemble a group of participants on the spectrum, say, of political affiliation. So this would be a more heterogeneous focus group, and assess the overall opinions of folks on how both of these presidential candidates did and what were some of the tensions and so on. So you can really go in depth and gather data pretty quickly to relate to the public at large some of the critical issues on the fly as soon as the presidential debates are over. So these focus groups are qualitatively driven in that you're interested in the responses of individuals, group responses over the course of the focus groups. Very often, focus groups can meet online rather than offline. And online focus groups, like the one we shall conduct today, have advantages of being conducted in a virtual space rather than a specific geographical location. It's easier sometimes for people to meet online rather than traveling to a specific area to meet up. It might be difficult for people to find the time to gather in one space, and it just makes it more convenient perhaps to do it online. The online focus group we will conduct today will be synchronous, meaning participants will respond to one another's comments at the same time on a given subject. Some of the advantages of focus group work include some of the following things. As I mentioned before, gaining exploratory data for your topic of study, or the ability to answer a multitude of research questions in a short period of time. Focus groups are distinct from one-on-one interviews, and they offer multiple perspectives at once. The option also to have an online focus group that's accessible to all the participants. Well, how can you conduct a focus group online? Well, we're going to be discussing one research application, mobile application, for your iPhone, Android, tablet, or computer laptop. It's called the Focus Group IT. Simply sign up by making an account and then begin your first online focus group. As you can see on the screen, I am making a focus group topic titled Substance Use in Adolescent Dating Relationships. Once I have created the topic, I usually add 2 to 3 questions into the question box for participants to respond to. I recommend using very open-ended questions to explore the topic initially and let the discussion develop. For example, I asked my participants the following question: what role has substance abuse use, if at all, played in your dating life, romantic relationships? Adding participants to the focus group discussion is easy. I simply invite participants to join by adding their email to the authorized personnel list. Click on the People tab, and you will be given the option to invite participants into the focus group discussion. I have the option of changing the privacy settings of the discussion group so that participants cannot see each other's responses to the questions I'm asking them. This might be preferable for topics that are sensitive and personal. However, other topics might be better discussed as a group that allows participants to converse with each other on the topic as I mediate the focus group. For the purposes of today's focus group, I have chosen to make the discussion semi-private, meaning that participants cannot see each other's responses due to the sensitivity of the subjects of substance abuse use and relationships. This focus group application also gives you the option of sending emails to your approved participant list, which I often do prior to our scheduled focus group time to ensure that participants do not forget their appointment, which is extremely important. Today's focus group topic: adolescent relationships and substance abuse. The focus group content you will see today is excerpted from a focus group conducted by a researcher named Baker in 2014. The topic explored adolescent relationships and the role that substance abuse can play in dating violence. The response you see on the screen now is a direct response from one of Baker's participants in his study. Charlie says alcohol use got them involved in 3 different relationships through a continuous cycle of drinking with friends. What are the advantages of online focus groups? The main advantage of having a focus group online is that it allows for a researcher to revisit what their participants have responded in writing because the data is stored in the app itself. As a researcher, I have never deleted any data I have collected, whether I think it is relevant or not for the subject I am exploring. For future reference, I can always log into my focus group IT account and review the responses I collected from our participants as they were written directly into the group chat. However, you have to remember that institutional review boards will ask you how long you intend to keep data. They want to make sure that the data is in a secure place. And I think the focus group IT chat allows for that type of security. But you would need to check in with your IRB local committee at your university, for example, to find out if this type of security measure is something that they would approve of. And you would need to destroy the data as promised when you originally filled out your IRB or Institutional Review Board research application. So I suggest that you really check in with the IRB around the use of these new types of technologies, which they may or may not have on their radar. Additionally, with focus group participants that wouldn't normally be able to interact with each other across time and space can encounter one another in the virtual research setting provided by the focus group IT. In this setting, they can respond to each other, and the researcher can efficiently collect the kind of complex, in-depth, qualitative data that could not be gathered with an open-ended online survey questions. However, it's important for you to make sure that you get the consent of the participants to this kind of interaction before it begins, before you turn on these various functions. So it's really clear what individual focus group participants will or will not consent to. And this is something also that you probably would have to explain in detail in your IRB application. So wrapping up the webinar, I hope that today's webinar allowed you to gain some important tips on research data collection that you may find useful to practice in your own academic pursuits. The research applications I have reviewed today are just some of the hundreds of mobile technologies that are available to the researcher in various fields of inquiry. As I have demonstrated today, Data can be collected in these research apps using many different methods such as field research, intensive interview, and focus group work. The benefits of these research applications are that they allow labor-intensive qualitative research to be more manageable and efficient and more organized in a time when research demands such high productivity. These research apps can really help get the job done. They don't, however, do the thinking for you. That's important to remember. I hope that you will consider using these range of mobile research application technologies that are available to you so you too conduct research on the fly. Thanks so much for watching today. I really appreciate it.